श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 5, The Creative Impetus, Chapter 1, The Activities of Maharaja Priyavrata. राजोवाच प्रियव्रतो भागवत आत्मा रामः कथं मुने गृहे रमतयन्मूलः कर्मबन्धः पराभवः।
King Parikshit inquired from Shukadeva Goswami, O great sage, why did King Priyavrata, who was a great self-realized devotee of the Lord, remain in household life, which is the root cause of the bondage of karma, fruitive activities, and which defeats the mission of human life?
ननूनं मुक्तसङ्घानां तादृशानां द्विजर्षभ गृहेष्वभिनिवेशोऽयं पुंसां भवितुमर्हति।
Devotees are certainly liberated persons. Therefore, O greatest of the Brahmanas, they cannot possibly be absorbed in family affairs.
महतां खलु विप्रर्षे उत्तमश्लोकपादयोः छाया निर्वृतचित्तानां न कुटुम्बे स्पृहामतिः।
Elevated Mahatmas who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are fully satiated by the shade of those lotus feet. Their consciousness cannot possibly become attached to family members.
संशयोऽयं महान् ब्रह्मन् धारागारसुतादिषु सक्तस्य यत्सिद्धिरभूत् कृष्णे च मतिरच्युता।
The king continued, O great Brahmana, this is my great doubt. How was it possible for a person like King Priyavrata, who was so attached to wife, children and home, to achieve the topmost infallible perfection in Krishna consciousness?
Shri Shuka uvacha Bādam uktam Bhagavata uttama shlokasya Śrīmad-Charana-ravinda Makaranda rasa aveshita chetaso Bhagavata paramahamsa dayita katam Kinchidantaraya vihatam swam shivatamam Padavim na prayena hinvanti.
Shri Shukadeva Goswami said, what you have said is correct. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised in eloquent transcendental verses by such exalted personalities as Brahma, are very pleasing to great devotees and liberated persons. One who is attached to the nectarian honey of the Lord's lotus feet and whose mind is always absorbed in his glories may sometimes be checked by some impediment, but he still never gives up the exalted position he has acquired.
Yarhi va Mahārajansa Rajaputra Priyavrata Parama Bhagavato Naradasya Charanopasevayanjasa Bhagata Paramartha Sattatvo Brahma Satrena Dikshishyamano Panitala Paripalana Yamnata Pravara Gunaganaikanta Bhajanataya Swapitropa Mantrito Bhagavati वासुदेव एवाव्यवधानसमाधियोगेन समावेशित सकलकारकक्रियाकलापो नैवाभ्यनन्दत्यद्यपि तदप्रत्याम्नातव्यं तद् अधिकरण आत्मनो न्यस्माद् असतोऽपि पराभवम् अन्वीक्षमाणः.
Shukadeva Goswami continued, My dear king, Prince Priyavrata was a great devotee because he sought the lotus feet of Narada, his spiritual master, and thus achieved the highest perfection in transcendental knowledge. With advanced knowledge, he always engaged in discussing spiritual subjects and did not divert his attention to anything else. The prince's father then asked him to take charge of ruling the world. He tried to convince Priyavrata that this was his duty as indicated in the revealed scriptures. Prince Priyavrata, however, was continuously practicing Bhakti Yoga by constantly remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thus engaging all his senses in the service of the Lord. Therefore, although the order of his father could not be rejected, the prince did not welcome it. Thus, he very conscientiously raised the question of whether he might be diverted from devotional service by accepting the responsibility of ruling over the world.
अतः भगवान् आदिदेव एतस्य गुणविसर्गस्य परिबृंहणानुद्यान व्यवसित सकल जगदभिप्राय आत्मयोनिर् अखिल निगम निज गण परिवेष्टित स्वभवनात् अवततार.
Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued, The first created being and most powerful demigod in this universe is Lord Brahma, who is always responsible for developing universal affairs. Born directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he dedicates his activities to the welfare of the entire universe, for he knows the purpose of the universal creation. This supremely powerful Lord Brahma, accompanied by his associates and the personified Vedas, left his own abode in the highest planetary system and descended to the place of Prince Priyavrata's meditation.
सतत्र तत्र गगनतल उडुपतिर् इव विमानावलिभिर् अनुपतम् अमर परिवृद्धैर् अभिपूज्यमान पतिपति च वरूतश सिद्ध गन्धर्व साध्य चारण मुनिगणैर् उपगीयमानो गन्धमादन द्रोणीम् अवभासयन् उपससर्प.
As Lord Brahma descended on his carrier, the great swan, all the residents of the planets named Siddhaloka, Gandharva-loka, Sadhya-loka and Charana-loka, as well as great sages and demigods flying in their different airplanes, assembled within the canopy of the sky to receive Lord Brahma and worship him. As he received respect and adoration from the residents of the various planets, Lord Brahma appeared just like the full moon surrounded by illuminating stars. Lord Brahma's great swan then arrived at the border of Gandhamadana hill and approached Prince Priyavrata, who was sitting there.
तत्र हवायेनं देवर्षिर्हंस यानेन पितरं भगवन्तं हिरण्यगर्भम् उपलभमान सहसैवोत्थायार्हणेन सह पिता पुत्राभ्याम् अवहिताञ्जलिरुपतस्ते.
Lord Brahma, the father of Narada Muni, is the supreme person within this universe. As soon as Narada saw the great swan, he could understand that Lord Brahma had arrived. Therefore, he immediately stood up along with Swayambhuva Manu and his son Priyavrata, whom Narada was instructing. Then they folded their hands and began to worship Lord Brahma with great respect.
Bhagavan api bharata tad upaneetarhana sukta vakenatitaram udita gunaganavatara sujaya priyavratam आदिपुरुषस्तं सदय हासावलोकहिति होवाच.
My dear King Parikshit, because Lord Brahma had finally descended from Satyaloka to Bhuloka, Narada Muni, Prince Priyavrata and Swayambhuva Manu came forward to offer him objects of worship and to praise him in highly qualified language, according to Vedic etiquette. At that time, Lord Brahma, the original person of this universe, felt compassion for Priyavrata and looking upon him with a smiling face, spoke to him as follows.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Nibodata te damrutam bravimi Māsūyitum deva marhasya prameyam Vayam bhavaste tata esha maharshir Vahama sarve vivashayasya dishtam.
Lord Brahma, the Supreme Person within this universe, said, My dear Priyavrata, kindly hear attentively what I shall say to you. Do not be jealous of the Supreme Lord, who is beyond our experimental measurements. All of us, including Lord Shiva, your father, and the great sage Maharshi Narada, must carry out the order of the Supreme. We cannot deviate from his order.
Natasya kaschit tapasa vidyaya va Na yoga viryena manishaya va Naivarta dharmai paratasvato va Krutam vihantum tanubrud vibhuyat.
One cannot avoid the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not by the strength of severe austerities, an exalted Vedic education, or the power of mystic yoga, physical prowess, or intellectual activities. Nor can one use his power of religion, his material opulence, or any other means, either by himself or with the help of others, to defy the orders of the Supreme Lord. That is not possible for any living being, from Brahma down to the ant.
Bhavaya nashaya cha karma kartum Shokaya mohaya sada bhayaya Sukhaya dukkaya cha deha yogam Avyakta dishtam janatan ghadatte.
My dear Priyavrata, by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all living entities accept different types of bodies for birth and death, activity, lamentation, illusion, fear of future dangers, and happiness and distress.
Yadvachitantyam gunakarma damabhihi Sudustarairvatsa vayam suyojitaha Sarve vahamo balimishvaraya Prota nasiva dvipade chatushpadaha.
My dear boy, all of us are bound by the Vedic injunctions to the divisions of Varnashrama according to our qualities and work. These divisions are difficult to avoid because they are scientifically arranged. We must therefore carry out our duties of Varnashrama Dharma, like bulls obliged to move according to the direction of a driver pulling on ropes knotted to their noses.
Isha bisrushtam hyavarun mahenga Dukkam sukam va gunakarma sangat आस्ताय तत्तद्यद् अयुन्तनातश् चक्षुष्मतान्दा इव नीयमानाः.
My dear Priyavrata, according to our association with different modes of material nature, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives us our specific bodies and the happiness and distress we achieve. One must therefore remain situated as he is and be conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, exactly as a blind man is led by a person who has eyes with which to see.
मुक्तो पितावद् विब्रूयात् स्वदेहम् आरब्धमश्नन् अभिमानशून्यः यतानुभूतं प्रतियात निद्रः किं त्वन्यदेहाय गुणान् न वृङ्क्ते.
Even if one is liberated, he nevertheless accepts the body he has received according to his past karma. Without misconceptions, however, he regards his enjoyment and suffering due to that karma the way an awakened person regards a dream he had while sleeping. He thus remains steadfast and never works to achieve another material body under the influence of the three modes of material nature.
वयं प्रमत्तस्य वनेष्वपि स्याद् यतः स आस्ते सहषत्सपत्नः जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरतेर्बुधस्य गृहाश्रम किं नु करोत्यवद्यम्.
Even if he goes from forest to forest, one who is not self-controlled must always fear material bondage because he is living with 6 co-wives, the mind and knowledge acquiring senses. Even householder life, however, cannot harm a self-satisfied learned man who has conquered his senses.
यः षट्सपत्नान् विजिगीषमाणो गृहेषु निर्विश्य यतेत पूर्वम् अत्येति दुर्गाश्रित ऊर्जितारीन् क्षीणेषु कामं विचरेत् विपश्चेत्.
One who is situated in household life and who systematically conquers his mind and 5 sense organs is like a king in his fortress who conquers his powerful enemies. After one has been trained in household life and his lusty desires have decreased, he can move anywhere without danger.
त्वं त्वब्जनाभाङ्घ्रिसरोजकोश दुर्गाश्रितो निर्जितषट्सपत्नः भुङ्क्ष्वेह भोगान् पुरुषातिदिष्टान् विमुक्तसङ्घप्रकृतिं भजस्व.
Lord Brahma continued, My dear Priyavrata, seek shelter inside the opening in the lotus of the feet of the Lord, whose navel is also like a lotus. Thus conquer the 6 sense organs, the mind and knowledge acquiring senses. Accept material enjoyment because the Lord extraordinarily has ordered you to do this. You will thus always be liberated from material association and be able to carry out the Lord's orders in your constitutional position.
श्रीशुक उवाच इति समभिहितो महाभागवतो भगवतस् त्रिभुवनगुरोरनुशासनम् आत्मनो लघुतया वनत शिरोधरो बाडम् इति स बहुमानम् उवाह.
Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued, After thus being fully instructed by Lord Brahma, who is the spiritual master of the 3 worlds, Priyavrata, his own position being inferior, offered obeisances, accepted the order and carried it out with great respect.
भगवान् अपि मनुना यतावत् उपकल्पितापचितिः प्रियव्रतनारदयोरविषमम् अभिसमीक्षमाणयोर् आत्मसम् अवस्थानम् अवान्मनसं क्षयम् अव्यवहृतं प्रवर्तयन् अगमत्.
Lord Brahma was then worshipped by Manu, who respectfully satisfied him as well as he could. Priyavrata and Narada also looked upon Brahma with no tinges of resentment. Having engaged Priyavrata in accepting his father's request, Lord Brahma returned to his abode, Satyaloka, which is indescribable by the endeavor of mundane mind or words.
Manur api parenaivam pratisandita manorata surarshivaranumatenatmajam akhiladara mandalasthiti guptaya astapya swayam ati vishama vishaya vishajalashaya shaya upararama.
Swayambhuva Manu, with the assistance of Lord Brahma, thus fulfilled his desires. With the permission of the great sage Narada, he delivered to his son the governmental responsibility for maintaining and protecting all the planets of the universe. He thus achieved relief from the most dangerous, poisonous ocean of material desires.
इति हवावस जगति पतिरीश्वरेच्छयाधिनिवेशित कर्माधिकारो किल जगद्बन्धध्वंसन परानुभावस्य भगवत आदिपुरुषस्याङ्घ्रियुगलानवरतध्यानानुभावेन परिरन्दितकषायाशयो वदातोऽपि मानवर्धनो महतां महीतलम् अनुशशास.
Following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Maharaja Priyavrata fully engaged in worldly affairs, yet he always thought of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are the cause of liberation from all material attachment. Although Priyavrata Maharaja was completely freed from all material contamination, he ruled the material world just to honor the orders of his superiors.
अतच दुहितरं प्रजापतेर्विश्वकर्मण उपयेमे बर्हिष्मतीं नाम तस्याम् उहवाव आत्मजान् आत्मसमानशीलगुणकर्मरूपवीर्योदारान् दशबावयां बभूव कन्यां च यवीयसीं ऊर्जस्वतीं नाम.
Thereafter, Maharaja Priyavrata married Barhishmati, the daughter of the Prajapati named Vishwakarma. In her, he begot 10 sons equal to him in beauty, character, magnanimity, and other qualities. He also begot a daughter, the youngest of all, named Urjaswati.
आग्निद्रेद्मजिह्व यज्ञबाहु महावीर हिरण्यरेतो घृतपृष्ठसवनमेधातिथि वीतिहोत्र कवय इति सर्व एवाग्निनामानः.
The 10 sons of Maharaja Priyavrata were named Agnidra, Idmajihva, Yajnabahu, Mahavira, Hiranyareta, Grutaprishta, Savana, Medhatiti, Vitihotra, and Kavi. These are also names of Agni, the fire god.
ये तेषां कविर्महावीरः सवन इति त्रय आसन् ऊर्ध्वरेतसस्त आत्मविद्यायाम् अर्बभावात् आरभ्य कृतपरिचयाः पारमहंस्यम् एवाश्रमम् अभजन्.
3 among these 10, namely Kavi, Mahavira and Savana lived in complete celibacy, thus trained in brahmachari life from the beginning of childhood. They were very conversant with the highest perfection known as the Paramahamsa Ashrama.
तस्मिन् उहवा उपशमशीला परमर्षय सकलजीवनिकाया वासस्य भगवतो वासुदेवस्य बीतानां शरणभूतस्य श्रीमच्चरणारविन्दाविरतस्मरणा विगलितः परमभक्तियोगानुभावेन परिभावितान्तर्हृदयादिगते भगवति सर्वेषां भूतानाम् आत्मभूते प्रत्यग् आत्मन्येवात्मनस्तादात्म्यम् अविशेषेण समीयुः.
Thus situated in the renounced order from the beginning of their lives, all three of them completely controlled the activities of their senses and thus became great saints. They concentrated their minds always upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the resting place of the totality of living entities and who is therefore celebrated as Vasudeva. Lord Vasudeva is the only shelter of those who are actually afraid of material existence. By constantly thinking of his lotus feet, these three sons of Maharaja Priyavrata became advanced in pure devotional service. By the purpose of their devotional service, they could directly perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart as the Super Soul, and realize that there was qualitatively no difference between themselves and him.
अन्यस्याम् अपि जायायां त्रयः पुत्रा आसन् उत्तमस्तामसो रैवत इति मन्वन्तराधिपतयः.
In his other wife, Maharaja Priyavrata begot three sons named Uttama, Tamasa and Raivata. All of them later took charge of Manvantara millenniums.
येवम् उपशमायनेषु स्वतनयेष्वत जगतीपतिर्जगतीम् अर्बुदान्येकादश परिवत्सराणाम् अव्याहता किल पुरुषकारसारसंवृतधोर्दण्डयुगला पीडित मौर्वीगुणस्तनितविरमितधर्मप्रतिपक्षो बर्हिष्मत्याश्चानुदिनं येदमानप्रमोद प्रसरणयौषिन्यव्रीडा प्रमुषितहासावलोक रुचिरक्ष्वेल्यादिभिः पराभूयमान विवेक इवानवबुध्यमान इव महामना बुभुजे.
After Kavi, Mahavira and Savana were completely trained in the Paramahamsa stage of life, Maharaja Priyavrata ruled the universe for 11 arbudas of years. Whenever he was determined to fix his arrow upon his bowstring with his two powerful arms, all opponents of the regulative principles of religious life would flee from his presence in fear of the unparalleled prowess he displayed in ruling the universe. He greatly loved his wife Barhishmati, and with the increase of days, their exchange of nuptial love also increased. By her feminine behavior, as she dressed herself, walked, got up, smiled, laughed, and glanced about, Queen Barhishmati increased his energy. Thus, although he was a great soul, he appeared lost in the feminine conduct of his wife. He behaved with her just like an ordinary man, but actually he was a great soul.
यावद् अवभासयति सुरगिरिम् अनुपरिक्रामन् भगवान् आदित्यो वसुधातलम् अर्धेनैव प्रतपत्यर्धेनावच्चादयति तदा हि भगवद् उपासनोपचिताति पुरुष प्रभावस्तत् अनभिनन्दन् समजवेन रथेन ज्योतिर्मयेन रजनीम् अपि दिनं करिष्यामीति सप्तकृद्वस्तरणिम् अनुपर्यक्रामद्वितीय इव पतङ्गः.
While so excellently ruling the universe, King Priyavrata once became dissatisfied with the circumambulation of the most powerful sun god. Encircling Sumeru hill on his chariot, the sun god illuminates all the surrounding planetary systems. However, when the sun is on the northern side of the hill, the south receives less light, and when the sun is in the south, the north receives less. King Priyavrata disliked this situation and therefore decided to make daylight in the part of the universe where there was night. He followed the orbit of the sun god on a brilliant chariot and thus fulfilled his desire. He could perform such wonderful activities because of the power he had achieved by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
ये बाहुतत्रतचरणनेमिकृतपरिकातास्ते सप्त सिन्धव आसन् यत एव कृता सप्त भुवो द्वीपाः.
When Priyavrata drove his chariot behind the sun, the rims of his chariot wheels created impressions that later became 7 oceans, dividing the planetary system known as Bhumandala into 7 islands.
Jumbo Plakshashalmali Kushakrauncha Shaka Pushkara Samyas Tesham Parimanam Purvasmat Uttara Uttaro Yata Sankyam Dvigunamanena Bahi Samantata Upakluptaha.
The names of the islands are Jambu, Plaksha, Shalmali, Kusha, Krauncha, Shaka and Pushkara. Each island is twice as large as the one preceding it, and each one is surrounded by a liquid substance beyond which is the next island.
Ksharodekshu rasoda suroda grutoda kshiroda dadi mandoda shuddhoda sapta jaladaya sapta dvipa parika ibabhyantara dvipa samana ekaikashyena yatanupurvam saptasvapi bahirdvipeshu पृथक् परित उपकल्पितास्तेषु जम्वादिषु बर्हिष्मतीपतिरनुव्रतानात्मजान् आग्निध्रेत्मज्जिह्वयज्ञबाहुहिरण्यरेतो घृतपृष्ठमेधातिथिवीतिहोत्रः संज्ञान्यता संख्येनैकैकस्मिन् एकं एवाधिपतिं विदधे.
The 7 oceans respectively contain salt water, sugarcane juice, liquor, clarified butter, milk, emulsified yogurt, and sweet drinking water. All the islands are completely surrounded by these oceans, and each ocean is equal in breadth to the island it surrounds. Maharaja Priyavrata, the husband of Queen Barhishmati, gave sovereignty over these islands to his respective sons, namely Agnidra, Idmajihva, Yajnabahu, Hiranyareta, Grutaprushta, Medatithi, and Vitihotra. Thus they all became kings by the order of their father.
दुहितरं चोर्जस्वतीं नामोशनसे प्रायच्छद्यस्याम् आसीद्देवयानी नाम काव्यसुता.
King Priyavrata then gave his daughter Urjasvati in marriage to Shukracharya, who begot in her a daughter named Devayani.
Naibam vida purushakara urukramasya Pumsam tadangrirajasajita shadghunanam Chitram vidura vigatas sakrudadhadita Yannamadeyamaduna sajahati bandam.
My dear king, a devotee who has taken shelter of the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord can transcend the influence of the 6 material waves, namely hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. And he can conquer the mind and 5 senses. However, this is not very wonderful for a pure devotee of the Lord, because even a person beyond the jurisdiction of the 4 castes, in other words, an untouchable, is immediately relieved of bondage to material existence if he utters the holy name of the Lord even once.
Sayevam apramita bala parakramaye kadatu devarshi Charananu patita guna visarga samsargena nirvrutam Ivatmanam manyamana atma nirveda idam aha.
While enjoying his material opulences with full strength and influence, Maharaja Priyavrata once began to consider that although he had fully surrendered to the great saint Narada and was actually on the path of Krishna consciousness, he had somehow become again entangled in material activities. Thus his mind now became restless, and he began to speak in a spirit of renunciation.
Aho asadvanushtitam yad abhiniveshitoham indriyair avidya rachita vishama vishayanta kupe tat alam alam amushya vanitaya vinoda mrugam mam dhik dhik iti garhayam chakara.
The king thus began criticizing himself. Alas, how condemned I have become because of my sense gratification. I have now fallen into material enjoyment, which is exactly like a covered well. I have had enough. I am not going to enjoy anymore. Just see how I have become like a dancing monkey in the hands of my wife. Because of this, I am condemned.
Paradevata prasadadigatatma pratyavamarshena pravrtebhya putrebhya imam yata dayam vibhajya bhukta bhogam cha mahishim mrutakam iva saha mahavibhutim apahaya swayam nihita nirvedo hrudi gruhita hariviharanubhavo Bhagavato Naradasya padavim punaryevanusasara.
By the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Maharaja Priyavrata reawakened to his senses. He divided all his earthly possessions among his obedient sons. He gave up everything, including his wife, with whom he had enjoyed so much sense gratification, and his great and opulent kingdom, and he completely renounced all attachment. His heart, having been cleansed, became a place of pastimes for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, he was able to return to the path of Krishna consciousness, spiritual life, and resume the position he had attained by the grace of the great saint Narada.
Tasyaha va yete shlokaha Priyavrata krutam karma Konu kuryad vineshvaram Yone minim nair akaroch छायां ज्ञन् सप्तवारिदीन्.
There are many famous verses regarding Maharaja Priyavrata's activities.
भूसंस्थानं कृतं येन सरिद्गिरिवनादिभिः सीमा च भूतनिर्वृत्यै द्वीपे द्वीपे विभागशः.
To stop the quarreling among different peoples, Maharaja Priyavrata marked boundaries at rivers and at the edges of mountains and forests so that no one would trespass upon another's property.
भौमं दिव्यं मानुषं च महित्वं कर्मयोगजं यश्चक्रे निरयौपम्यं पुरुषानुजनप्रियः.
As a great follower and devotee of the sage Narada, Maharaja Priyavrata considered hellish the opulences he had achieved by dint of fruitive activities and mystic power, whether in the lower or heavenly planetary systems or in human society.
Hari Om Tat Sat.